Life's best moments are best captured by photography and video. You may ask, why photography and video? Because if a photo is worth 1,000 words, video is worth 1,000,000. And GPS photography and video will leave you speechless. GPS specializes in weddings, sports, fitness, and so much more. Book your next shoot today at 910-257-0526 or gpsphotoandvideo.com.
Welcome to the Amazon's podcast. I'm Glenn Young, owner of Amazon's Fitness Magazine. Celebrate the female physique. Subscribe to AmazonsFitMag.com. The podcast is brought to you by Maximus Posing Suits. Celebrate your inner warrior. Custom competition suits for victory on every stage. MaximusPosingSuits.com. And of course, GPS photography and video. Why photography and video? Because if a photo is worth 1,000 words, video is worth 1,000,000. GPSphotoandvideo.com. My guest, she is an IFBB Women's Physique Pro, and she's about to do her pro debut at the New York Pro. She's a lifestyle and prep coach, and you've seen her on NPC News Online, the very charismatic Jess Falborn. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me, Glenn. How are you?
Hey, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you, especially as you're in the height of prep.
Yeah.
And you get ready for your show. How you been doing?
Really well. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get on stage. This is by far the best I've ever looked. And we still got, a little more than 3 weeks to go. So I feel great. Yeah.
Okay. So what was it? What did you work out today?
Today was a rest day from training, but not a rest day from cardio.
Okay.
I had 2 cardio sessions today. So fortunately, I've got a spin bike in the apartment here. And then this morning I was at the gym doing my cardio.
So roughly 3.5 weeks out, give or take?
Yeah. It'll be 3 weeks from this Saturday. So
okay.
3 weeks and 2 days a day. Who's counting though?
And so you are from New Jersey, correct?
I'm originally from New York.
New York, okay.
About 35 minutes north of where I live now. So I live in New Jersey.
So this is literally a home game for you.
This is my hometown show. And when I turned pro, even before I turned pro, I was like, that's where I want my pro debut to be. I want it to be right here because I can just drive up the road, get that title, and drive right back home with it.
Ain't got to fly across the country.
No, it's
not worry about water and fluid carrying.
Yeah, if it had to be that way, then you just deal with it and you plan around it. But New York Pro is such a prestigious, well-known show as well.
It is.
And so I'm so honored that I have the opportunity to just drive over there. So I'll go and, stay in a hotel the night before because Women's Physique is first on stage and early in the alphabet. So I'll probably be pretty early. So I'll stay in the hotel the night before, but yeah, it'll be really nice to have a peak week at home, not have to worry about traveling with everything.
Okay. So prejudging is what, on Friday?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
So Friday's check-ins. Okay.
Yeah. Friday night, they do a check-in meeting, and then Saturday morning, 8 a.m., we're on stage.
All right. So give me a little bit of background on Jess Falborn, the lifestyle and prep coach.
Yeah. Well, so I haven't always been a bodybuilder. I haven't always been in fitness. I graduated from University of Delaware and moved to Washington, D.C., where I worked for the State Department. I worked in sales. I worked as a lobbyist for the National Restaurant Association. I lobbied the White House, Capitol Hill, regulatory agencies. And at the same time, while I was doing that, I was kind of getting back into fitness. I played sports my whole life, but college, I kind of took a hiatus, and then my 20s, I just did what 20-year-olds do and enjoyed life and partied a little bit and worked hard, But I got back into fitness in my late 20s, and I got into CrossFit, and I was pretty active in the CrossFit community and powerlifting. And it all kind of started when I turned 30. I remember waking up one day and looking in the mirror and being like, this is not the lifestyle I want. Like, I want to be healthy. So I really doubled down, got into fitness. And I realized that's where my true passion was. I loved in my former career, the like coaching aspect, the mentoring of young professionals, the building teams and teaching people. But I didn't love the work I was doing or some of the people I was working with. So I made a complete change. Being a lobbyist is tough. And especially in that political climate, it was pretty tough. So
who was in the White House at the time?
It was right when the Obama administration became the Trump administration. So,
okay.
And that
was a volatile time.
It was very volatile, very volatile. And if you know anything about DC, it's a very liberal town. So the fact that the Trump administration was the new administration was rough for a lot of people. But for the industry that I lobbied on behalf of, it was big business. So they were, those business owners were very happy, right? Like they wanted someone that was very pro big business and was a businessman himself. So it was unique, but I was ready to move on. So I left that career, not really knowing what I was going to do next. I did like a typical like eat, pray, love trip where I took like 8 weeks and traveled around Europe and was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I'm still young. I can change careers. And I came back and realized like coaching was where I wanted to be. And so that was in 2018. 2019, I competed in my first bodybuilding show in figure and won. And I didn't think that I was going to be hooked. I actually thought bodybuilding was stupid at that time.
Really?
I was like, who would starve themselves? Like I'm Italian. Like I love food way too much. And I love to compete, and who doesn't love to win, right? And I always come to win. So I did well, and I really enjoyed a lot of bodybuilding. And I thought, well, I can do this and learn how to be a better coach and teach people the discipline that they need to like do anything in their lives. Not just diet, not just change their physique, but they can apply this level of discipline to anything. So that was 2019. January of 2020, I launched my business, and then the world shut down a month later.
Yeah. Tough time to launch a business, especially anything in fitness at the time, because all the gyms were closing and everything else.
Yeah. So we made it work. I mean, 2020 actually ended up being a really successful year for me. And I think I just attribute that to the fact that like I was already undergoing so much change in the 2 years leading up to that. Like I was just used to change and just having to like make decisions on the fly. So it kind of set the tone for my fitness career, just going where the market wanted me. I had a different business plan and realized that everything was going virtual. And so I just doubled down on that. So I stayed in DC until September 2021. And then I moved back up north to New York, New Jersey, where I've been ever since then. So I've been back up here almost 3 years now.
So how many clients do you have? More lifestyle clients? Do you have more competitors?
I definitely have more. Yeah, I
Mhm.
definitely have more lifestyle clients. But now so just recently, I'm sure maybe some of the folks that are going to tune in, and maybe you saw, but I have joined the Camp Jansen coaching team.
I saw. I was looking at your profile.
Yeah. So that's been in the works for a little while. My coach, Justin Jacoby, is part of the Camp Jansen team, and he's mentored me for a while. And so we've been working for the better part of a year to get me kind of up to speed and a part of the team. So I'm his assistant coach.
Right.
And so most of my clients are lifestyle clients. I'm a personal trainer at Signature Fitness here in Belleville, New Jersey. And some people might recognize it because that's where 212 Mr. Olympia Sean Clarita used to train when he lived up here. So it's a great facility here. So I train a few clients in person. I coach CrossFit. But from there, that's where I get a lot of my lifestyle clients. So folks that aren't looking to compete, but they're just looking to get healthier. Maybe lose some excess body fat, tone up for the summer. Maybe they've got some strength goals. And then, I mean, bodybuilding is really big here in New Jersey. So I do have a few, I'd say like brand new competitors, first time competitors. And I'm really passionate about being a mentor for like new competitors because I feel like I didn't have the best direction when I first started. And I'm passionate about making sure that people know what they're getting into, and they understand everything that goes into the sport and really how difficult it can be. But it also can be really rewarding as long as they're educated about everything. So I've got a few competitor clients, but mostly lifestyle. And I've got some endurance athletes, some obstacle course race athletes. I've got some athletes over in Switzerland and in China that are elite Spartan racers, elite high rocks competitors, obstacle course racers, ultra marathoners. So it kind of runs the gamut, but I really do like coaching athletes.
What's it like trying to match the times up to have a competitor in China and you're back here trying to get on virtual with them?
Yeah, well, I don't always do virtual with them. Like I'm not always like getting on like a FaceTime or something with them, but it's usually nutrition and workout programming. So like say someone has a race that they're running, like recently I had a client run a 50-kilometer ultra marathon in China. And I mean, that was like, I didn't have to be awake while she was racing, but I was awake for a good part of it because it's a 50 kilometers long race. It was like 12 hours. But I was, same way that you would treat like a peak week for a bodybuilding competitor, you are really dialed in the days leading up to it. And then there's not really much for me to do while they're racing. Because they're not calling me, they're not asking me questions. Like we've already made our plan for what they were eating the day before, the 2 days before, the morning of, the snacks they're going to bring with them, because obviously they have to eat while they're competing in the ultra marathon, and then what they're going to eat afterwards. But yes, there is some coordination with like the time difference there, definitely.
Gotcha. So you came out, started in CrossFit. What made you make the move from CrossFit to you were first a figure competitor, right?
Yeah. So I wanted to compete in something, and I was doing like local CrossFit competitions, and I was getting ready to do a powerlifting meet, and I injured my back. Yeah. I mean, I put up some serious numbers. Like I really like I like the performance athletic side. And I think, at some point I'll come back to that. But I hurt my back, and it wasn't like serious, but it was serious enough where like, okay, I'm not going to compete in this meet. And my nutrition coach at the time, who was one of my CrossFit coaches, said to me, he was a bodybuilder. He was like, Jess, you have the genetics for this. Like, just try it. Just do one. And we were 20 weeks out from a show at that point, and it was summertime or about to be summertime. And he was like, at the very least, you're going to look great for the summer. And I was like, okay, I'll do it, and so I decided, okay, I'd already been like dieting, meal prepping. Like I kind of was in that mentality anyways. So yeah, I decided, okay, this is something that I want to compete in. I like competition. I like trying new things. And I just kind of went with it.
Well, you definitely have a well-known coach. He is, he's got some great competitors.
Yeah.
I've seen his work, and he's definitely in the industry deep, and definitely a success.
He's great.
So you went from what made you go from figure to women's physique? What was that talk like?
Well, I initially, the coaches that I had at the time, so I had a prep coach and then an opposing coach. My opposing coach was a women's physique pro. And she said, she was like, I think you belong in women's physique. I was like, no, I want to wear the heels.
Really?
I was like, I want to wear heels. What are you talking about? I didn't know much about the sport. I had never been to a show before. Like I didn't know. And so I did figure and like did well enough, but there wasn't very much competition. And then I came off stage and I just remember those same coaches. They were like, okay, if you're going to keep doing this, now you're nationally qualified. Like you could go to a national show if you want to. If you're going to keep doing this, you need to do women's physique. Like that's just what your physique is going to fit best into. You're going to have to put on some size in your upper body to match your legs, but like your legs belong in women's physique. You cannot stay in figure. So I took a full year off and thought about it and ended up in 2020. I prepped throughout COVID and competed in 2020 at Gene USA's and did my first women's physique show there. My first women's physique show was my first national show.
Okay.
So,
well, I got to ask you this question. That just as they said, hey, you belong, your coaches said you belong in women's physique.
Yeah.
You go to the New York Pro, they see you, and the judges' feedback is, hey, you need to go into women's bodybuilding.
I knew you were going to say this.
Hey, I'm always trying to recruit for the big girls.
I know.
And I love the women's physique as well. But women's physique, figure, and women's bodybuilding are taking a lot of shade lately. So
yeah, I know.
I mean, get that question, what would you do?
If that's the feedback, I personally, I do not want to be in women's bodybuilding. I want to stay in women's physique. Personally, I don't want to put on any more size. And to be competitive in women's bodybuilding, I know I'd have to put on more size. I know I have the genetics to do it. I put on muscle easier than most. Like in my off season, if I'm in the gym and smelling weight, I put on muscle. Like it happens like that. So
that's a good thing.
But grass isn't always greener. It takes me a really long time to get lean. So
yeah,
6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. But I just know like I'm not going to do this forever, and I don't want to put on more size because I already. I'm only 5'1". Like in my off season, I'm walking around at like 165, 170. So I really don't want to be any bigger. But I know that. But I do know. And Justin and I have talked about this. My posing coach, Kenny Wallach, and I have talked about this. Like, believe me, we've practiced the women's bodybuilding poses. Like, I know them. I could do them if I needed to.
Both y'all have abdominals and thighs, so that's one you don't have to learn. You know?
But like, I really
closed fist versus open hand. So
yeah. But I really love like the bodybuilding side chest. Like, I'll probably do that. Like, not like hands closed, but like a variation of that in like my routine and stuff. But we've talked about it. And the bottom line is like, if I continue to lift and train heavy like I do, which I love, and I'll never give that up, my body's going to go there.
Exactly. So, and being a power lifter at one time as well, I was going to ask that. It's just going to naturally progress you that way.
Yeah.
And they already said you got the genetics.
Yeah.
You know, and 5'1", packed in all that muscle. I'm a fan perspective.
But when I won my pro card in 2022, I was 135 on stage.
Okay.
I will probably be at least 5 pounds heavier for my pro debut.
Okay.
And that like it's if you see, we've done some comparisons of like a couple weeks out from the pro card win and a couple weeks out now from the pro debut, and like I wasn't even trying to put on size. I was just trying to like balance out a little bit and work on details. And we've just built an even better physique. So if it happens, it happens. I'm not aiming for women's bodybuilding. I like women's physique. No knock against women's bodybuilding. I think if I had like a bigger stature or was taller, I might be a little more comfortable with that. But I just, bodybuilding's a big part of my life, but I'm not doing it. I'm not on stage or in prep 24/7. There's a big part of my life that's spent in an off season or doing other things and working. So I don't always want to be carrying around that size the rest of the year. So we'll see. I mean, I'll never say no to anything, but.
Well, you got a great team behind you. Your opposing coach as well, Kenny Wallach.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are well known in the industry. So you got to, and that's the biggest thing of having a team behind you that's going to help propel you to the next level and get you at your best.
Yeah.
How long was this prep? Will it be in the end?
Ooh.
How long you been in prep?
Day one of prep was the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but at
And
least you had a Thanksgiving meal.
yeah, I mean,
That last meal.
I just remember Justin saying to me, he was like, what about Christmas cookies? Like, do you care about Christmas meals? And I was like, I don't even care about Thanksgiving meals. Like, I just want to win. I don't care about this. So, I mean, now I'm kicking myself. I'm like, damn it, I would give anything for a good meal. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to count, but say December, January, February, March. So that's
4
16
months.
ish. And then now we're almost done with April. So
Yeah.
5 months. And then we got 2 weeks into May. So yeah, it's been a long road. I mean, like, day one wasn't like full on in prep. Like we had to bring some body fat down from the off season first,
Right.
but come like mid January, I went down to visit Justin and train with him down in Florida. And that's when we like really kicked things into high gear. So yeah, it's been a long prep. And I would say like the last few weeks have probably been the toughest as we like really try to dial in and bring the best conditioning. Yeah. So
And then when you hit that peak week,
I'm looking
now
forward
things go like you hope. The New York Pro, you qualify for the Olympia. However, if they don't, what will be your next show? And do you have a pitch count as to how many shows you're going to do? Because if I don't get the Olympia qualification by July, right? Let's say the Atlanta Pro, you're done. Just as an example, but
yeah.
what's your game plan?
I don't have a pitch count, as you put it. I don't have a plan B. But we have
That's
talked.
where it best works out too when you don't have a plan B.
I don't have a plan B, but
plan B is for losers.
It is exactly. Yeah. I mean, like initially I had thought about doing St. Louis Pro, which is this weekend. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll do that first. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe we'll do Pittsburgh before New York. But again, I wanted to make sure New York was my best. And so I didn't want to jeopardize that. So afterwards, a week after New York is Optimum Classic. 3 weeks after New York is Omaha. And then shortly after that is Toronto. I believe Toronto. Yeah. So we have options. Justin and I have talked about it. And I think right now we're just focused on New York. And then when I come off stage, based on how things go, we'll make a decision then for what we're going to do. So.
Well, I'm excited for you. And I know the pro debut is going to be spectacular. Your first time jumping out there as a pro, huge show. One of the most, prestigious shows as well. So, and it's a home game for you. So I'm pick the better one.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, I see Kenny every Saturday morning for 45 minutes. He comes to Signature because he's there every Saturday seeing clients in person. So, so I see him every Saturday morning. And Justin is coming here 11 days before New York Pro.
Great.
Make sure that he's there with me for all of my last workouts, ironing out every detail. He'll be there for the entire peak week. He's got some other athletes. He's got 2 guys that are competing in open as well, men's bodybuilding. So, but yeah, like I'm very excited. I love all the hype around shows. I love being on stage. I would be on stage every weekend if I could. Like I love being
really.
Yeah, I love performing. I just love. People always ask, they're like, "Aren't you nervous?" Like, and I'm like, I am, but it's good nerves. Like it fuels me.
They call you stress.
Yeah,
not stress. Yeah.
Like of course I'm nervous, but it's because I want to show off. Like I've busted my ass. Like I've worked everyone who's on that stage has worked so hard. You should be so excited to show this off because this is 1% of the population can do something like this.
Oh yes.
So, I mean, it's a privilege. I'm so happy to get up there. So yeah, this is the fun part, even though like, I'm cursing everyone out when I'm doing cardio right now. Like, I'm like, don't fucking look at me. But yeah, I mean, this is the really fun part because we're just fine tuning everything and getting ready for the big day. So.
What was the feedback when you got your pro card going forward? What did they say?
More conditioning.
Okay.
That's always been the feedback. It's like the hardest thing for me, my upper body gets hard as nails so early, and my lower body, and I think it's because I hold on to so much size in my lower body, it's been more difficult to lean out. So So that was the feedback. Justin and I took a look at like all my pictures and videos, and we decided we wanted to like cap out my delts a little bit more, work on my rear delts, bring my lat taper out more, because I don't have like the smallest waist. But what I ended up doing, I mean, I worked on all of that, but I practiced stomach vacuums daily for the past 14 months, and it's made a dramatic change in my waist. So my shape has just gotten a lot better. And we put on size in we wanted to bring my biceps up too. So we put on size in all the places that we wanted to, and without meaning to, my legs grew as well with everything else.
Right.
But that was it. It wasn't a ton of feedback. It was just like, come in conditioned and you're ready for the pro league. So
your legs look great too. So you're definitely bottom half dominant in that regard.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at y'all's abdominals and thighs, that pose, right? It's really sort of special, and it's a signature pose of women's physique, and the same with women's bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But in the case of women's physique, and I've been at the show, when they hit that abdominals and thighs, it's just like this. I call it the women's physique hiss. As y'all exhale,
yeah,
you just like tick that hip from left to right,
yep.
and all those abs just like.
Just
you really
wait.
gotta listen for it. But people understand that I call it the women's physique hiss.
Yep.
And if you just see it right behind the judges, you'll hear it very clear. Whoa.
You hear everyone on stage next to you.
It just sounds like a snake, you know, and they're like they hit that like, oh, and then you just look at the abs and like,
yeah.
That's when you hit it.
We've worked hard on that pose, and I am really proud of what we've made it into. And I always thought it was one of my weaker poses, but it's one of my strongest poses. So I'm excited to be able
the biggest thing is to own it, you know. Don't rush it, you know, turn a little bit to the left and right, but yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
How were you approached to do post-show or pre-show interviews by NPC News Online? Because you are a natural.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that drew me to you. I'm like, well, she's well-spoken. She's asking the right questions. And one thing about it, when competitors do interviews, when competitors ask other competitors, they just respond differently than, say, any other media type that would be asking questions, because you know what I'm going through. So, so how were you approaching? What made you want to do that?
So the first, I would say my first experience doing it last year was I did the live stream commentary for the Sharu Classic in India.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So I was definitely on your page where you went to India. So
yeah. So Sharu lives here in New Jersey, and him and his business partner, Raj, own the UFC gym in North Brunswick. So I had partnered with them. I was going down there, helping them with like their content strategy, building out content, filming stuff for them. And I got to be really good friends with them. So they asked me to come with them to India and do the live stream commentary for their show there in Delhi. So I went there last June and did the commentary there. And they hadn't had someone do the commentary before, so they weren't very organized with it. Like they didn't have I didn't have an athlete list. I didn't have an order of events. Like, it's just, India is just a lot different.
Right.
It was such a cool experience, but that I just had to go on the fly. And I had like different co-hosts and co-commentators, and I just had to go on the fly, but that was awesome. And then a lot of people saw that, and I came back, and I was asked to do the winners interviews for Universe.
Right.
And the way I got hooked up with that was, I know JM from competing, and he does he oversees all the interviews. But he's usually running around doing photos. So
he is.
So Joe Bear, who owns HD Physiques, he's good friends with JM, and he oftentimes is the one running the interviews at shows if he's at the show. So he does that for JM. So I've been friends with Joe for a while. Joe was going to be here for Universe, and he was like, hey, I need someone to do the winners interviews for the guys on the last day. And I was like, well, I'm your girl. You know, I live 20 minutes away. I'll be there. So,
There you go.
so I did those, and that went really well. And then after that, I did the live stream commentary for Victor Martinez's Legends show in the Bronx. And that was a bit more organized, and they had a whole production team, and that was a really fun experience because, you know, while it's a smaller local show, we had a lot of people. They had a live Q&A, so they had a lot of people that didn't know much about bodybuilding, and they were asking questions. And so I had a moderator handing me what the questions were, showing me on their phone what the questions were, so I could answer some of them live. So that was a fun experience because people who knew nothing about bodybuilding felt like they got a lot out of it, and they knew what was going on. And then the last time I did interviews was at the Texas Pro, and that was in August. And that I was going to. So funny story. So I was going to that anyways because Justin was making his pro debut there. So I was flying there to support him. And Joe Bayer was going to be there anyways doing the interviews for NPC News Online. So he had another girl lined up to do the interviews, and he was also going to be shooting with her. Okay. And when he found out I was going to be there, he was like, oh, I would love to have you help out because English is not her first language, and you've done this before. So I was like, great, okay, I'd be happy to do it. So we get there. We're at the athlete check-ins meeting, and that's where JM wanted a lot of interviews because you get everyone just like lined up, and he's like, okay, so go over and talk to them. And so we were going to tag team. I was going to do one, she was going to do one, and vice versa. And I did the first one, and she was like, no, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. And so she got nervous. Too much, huh? Yeah. So we had a line of probably 20 competitors, and it was boom, 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 boom. Like you didn't have a second to think. I like quickly would be before, because the interviews had to be really quick. I had to be like, okay, what's your name? What division? Even if I knew who they were, like I had to confirm everything, you know, like, and I almost felt a little bit bad asking some people because maybe they thought they were more well-known, but I was like, listen, I just need to make sure I get your name exactly right.
Exactly. You want to have your name pronounced right. Yeah. And, you know, so you don't come off that it comes off professionally. Yeah. It was like 60 seconds per competitor roughly.
Yeah, they were quick. I mean, we tried to keep them, about 60 seconds or less. If it went a little bit longer, it was usually because they were talking a lot, but I mean, they're excited, you know, they're checking in. Some of them they do. So, and then the next day we did, it was a pro-am. So they had the amateurs and the pros. And so we interviewed all of the overall winners for the amateur, as well as the pro winners. And we did backstage content as well. And at some point I was like, all right, listen, since I'm doing the interviews, you can, other chick, do the backstage content. Because I was just like holding the camera and filming. Right. But that I kind of felt like I was not prepared for that at all. And I remembered I interviewed Andrew Jacked when he won. And like, he was the last one, you know, because Open was last. Right. And I think there were probably about 200 people standing there watching the interview. And I was like, I not that I was starstruck with him, but I was like, holy crap, like this is a big deal.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That was a big interview.
It happens, you know. It happens.
It happens.
And most important, you understand the moment, and you don't want to come off looking like an idiot, to lack a better word.
And looking back on it, like, and also I got a lot of, you know, people are ruthless in the comments. So like got a lot of comments like, why doesn't she ask better questions? And why does she keep her hand on her hip like that? And I'm like, okay.
Really?
Like
all about posture of speaking from the diaphragm, you know, stuff that people would know that does it. Because I actually teach broadcasting at the high school. So yeah. So I know a little bit about what you're going through. But you're a natural.
Thank you.
You don't have so much time to ask the question, get on to the next competitor.
Yeah.
And you may have a little bit more time in the post show because then you got to know how to do the interview. You want to interview the winner. Yeah. But you also going to have to interview that person that maybe didn't do as well as they want. And you got to be very tactful and professional with the questions. Yeah. What's that been like? Someone doesn't do as well as they wanted to. Maybe they're a little bit upset. And normally they're fuming at the judges. And sometimes you ask the right question, leading question versus a loaded question. A loaded question may have them just walk off and curse you out. Yeah. A leading question they're gonna sing it like a choir, and
Yeah.
hopefully it's a good thing and not a bad thing. So,
Yeah. I mean, my thought has always been like, let's ask them about what's next, right? Like,
mhm.
you did great. I don't even ask them always like, is it what you were hoping for? But like,
Right.
tell me about this prep. Tell me leading up to it, and then tell me about what's next. Because if you can tell that someone isn't really happy with how things shook out at the show, I try
Yeah.
not to focus on that part because
Yeah.
I'm sure they don't want to talk about that either.
Focus on the
Maybe they
positive.
do, but
Exactly right.
I'm not going to give them the platform for that.
Yeah. Don't say,
Um,
hey, so you just got your butt kicked. What
yeah,
happened?
yeah. Tell us
Yeah.
about why that happened. Like,
Yeah. What were you feeling actually? You think the judges did the right thing? But yeah.
or like
Don't ask that.
I'll bring up like, I know as a competitor, it's so incredibly rewarding to show off my hard work. Like, did you feel the same way? Like you were so proud of the work you put
Exactly.
in. You kind of try to like relate to them a little bit. But I mean, you roll with it too. Like,
Yeah.
I think where people get nervous because they are concerned about what other people think. I frankly don't care. Like I don't care what
Right.
other people think, and I
Exactly.
want someone. I know if the roles are reversed and I'm being interviewed, I feel special. Like someone
Right.
wants to hear about me, so I want to make that person feel special, and feel like I value their time, and no one else
Mhm.
matters. Like only that person matters when you're talking to them.
Right.
So
And it comes off very authentic. Like I said, that's why a competitor interviewing a competitor,
yeah, yeah,
that's what you want.
yeah.
So I checked out your YouTube channel earlier. There's a video out there that you hung, I think it was April 14th for Back Day. And you got a great guy. I met him and talked with him at length, Chris Vera,
Oh,
next level
Chris.
visionary. Yeah.
He's
So
the
it's always
best.
important if you guys want to collect your content and work with you, basically have your own personal photographer or
Yeah,
videographer. And y'all seem to have a great relationship.
he's the
So, I
best.
mean, he films all your content. What do you got coming up next that you want to show? Or is there a point where, it's 2 weeks out, I'm going to shut it down, go dark, and I'll talk to you after the show?
I thought about it, but so we're okay. So we're about 3 weeks out now.
Mhm.
When Justin just recently told me he was going to come up like 11 days before the show and train with me, I was like, oh, this is
Mhm.
perfect. This is content I want. So
Yep.
I'll probably have Chris film 1 to 2 episodes while Justin is here. And I kind of try to time them. Like I did this leading up to my pro card win too, where I filmed my last episode of that series 10 days before the show.
Right.
And they gave us enough time for him to edit everything and have the episode ready to go live right before I went on stage, like the day or two before I went on stage. So
Perfect.
I'm kind of I try to build out a content strategy so I know when I can drop stuff. Or no, the episode went live, I think 2 days after, but the trailer went live the
Mhm.
night before, and the trailer was a culmination of the whole series. And then because in the episode, at the very end of the episode, if anyone watches it, it was in the Shock Everyone series. I said, I will see you guys back here when I'm a pro. Like I knew it was going to happen.
There you go.
So I said, Chris, wait until after I win to post this.
Oh, I see you. You should have just posted before, man.
I
Before the show.
mean, I knew in my gut it was going to happen, but still.
So let me ask you this. If it doesn't happen, do you cut the video? Don't post it?
No, I think I probably would because you know what? Like I know in my heart of hearts, I'm gonna make the Olympia this year. Like I know I'm going
Mhm.
to. It's just a matter of when. Because I can't control who else shows up, but I know what I
You
bring
can
to
control
stage
you.
will be my best look ever. So I know I'm gonna make it. And I know when we filmed this last episode before my pro debut, like I
Mhm.
will confidently say, like, I feel like I have a physique that could win this show. I do. But
Mhm.
the pro league is different. Like I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I also don't really know very, very many other competitors that are doing New York Pro. It's usually a show that brings out big names, but I haven't really heard very many other names. So,
Mhm.
and that wouldn't change what I'm doing anyways. So I would probably still let it roll.
Mhm.
And if we don't win, and I come back and film another episode, I'm just like, hey guys, sometimes you don't win, but I feel like I won because we beat my last look. Like
Right.
who is anyone to question that? If you're going to question that, like, you probably are not in competitive bodybuilding.
Right.
So
Well, you're very resolute. I think your mindset is dead on, spot on,
thanks.
and you got to manifest it and keep working. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Now you got a workout partner, Amanda Amendover.
Yeah, Amanda. Yep.
I mean, I see you guys together a lot. So I'm not gonna say what show she was doing. She told me, but I'm not gonna repeat it. But
Okay.
y'all are there to push each other, and there's nothing like
Yeah.
having someone to get you going. What's that like? Now she's figure. Your
Yeah.
women's physique.
Yeah. So
I think she should move up, but anyway.
you're just encouraging all of us to
I'm
move
just
up.
saying, man. I mean, I love figure. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but she's building. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. I think
know.
she's gonna have that conversation and have to make that choice as well.
Yeah, her and I were just talking about that. So I train with Amanda. Amanda lives about an hour away from me, but she's at Signature on the weekends. So
Okay.
or when she has like days off. So I train with her as much as I can. My daily training partner is August, and August is also coached by Justin. She's an amateur figure competitor. So she will compete again in 2025, but she is who I train with like 2 to 3 times a week consistently. And that's been great because she used to be one of Sean Clarita's training partners,
Right.
Her and her husband. So she trains hard, right? So, and she's great because like she gets great content for me. She helps me re-rack the weights when I'm tired. Like Justin and I talked about this at the beginning of prep, and he was like, you need to have a training partner, because I've always rocked solo. He's like, you need to have a training partner to push you during the prep workouts when you don't want to work. So she's been great. Training with Amanda is awesome. And I've known Amanda a bit longer. And if the 3 of us could train together more often, we would. But Amanda and I were just talking about this, how we both have packed on so much muscle. Are we going to out muscle divisions? But I will tell you this. Put her and I next to each other when we're peeled, stage ready. She's figure. She's figure through and through. Now, we don't know what this year is going to bring, right? Because she's put on more size than when she won her pro card. But she just has like this really naturally small waist that fits in really well with figure. And her lats, her lat insertions sit really, really high. So like I was telling her this the other day. I was like, when you're peeled, you're figure. But when her and I are in the off season, it's like you're both women's bodybuilding. Like you guys are just dense and thick. So, I mean, but we both agreed, like we both train heavy and it's very easy for us to put on muscle. So we're going to go where our bodies take us, as long as like we're comfortable with it and we're healthy.
Yeah. And I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
But give her my best.
I will.
Hope to shoot you both soon.
Yes.
But tell her to start learning the women's physique poses.
Right. I know. I was there on Saturday with Kenny, and she came by and she was like, I'm next. Like, I got to start coming to see you. And I was like, he had me do women's bodybuilding poses the other day. Like, and he was like, honey, I'm just putting it in the file back here.
There you go.
Thinking about it for a few years down the road. And I was like, Amanda, you're next for women's physique. And he was like, yep, just going to put that in a file back here. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt to know these poses. And for figure to, like women's physique to women's bodybuilding, pretty easy. Not easy, but like very similar.
Right, similar, yes.
Figure to women's physique is much different. They only have their 4 quarter turns, right? So then they have to learn these 5 other poses. But I have faith in Amanda. Whatever she decides to do, she's going to do really, really well. So. And
of course, that X frame and everything. But I mean, 3 divisions that get shade: figure, women's physique, and women's bodybuilding. But I mean, hey, love you all. Love all 6 categories. So all your Amazons to me.
Thank you.
Give me your last thoughts as you get ready to go into the New York Pro. We already know what your expectations are, but what keeps you up at night?
The fear that I haven't done enough to win. And I think, I don't know if you know who Tim Grover is, but he was the coach for Michael Jordan and Kobe and Dwayne Wade. And he's written 2 really great books. One is called Relentless, and the other one is called Winning. It was his follow-up. And he talks about this like winning mentality. And like winners are just never, it's relentless. It's just, it's constantly keeping you up. And there's a difference between doubt and doubting yourself and this healthy fear of you've never done enough. Like it'll never be enough. And that's what makes winners, because you're never content. You're never satisfied. You're proud of how far you've come, but you're never satisfied. And so I, every night, go to sleep thinking about what it's going to be like when they announce that I'm Olympia qualified. I wake up every morning and do a manifestation meditation and think about that moment when they call out my name. And regardless of what happens, like, I'm really, really proud of what I'm bringing, but every night I'm like running through the day in my head. I'm like, did I miss anything? Did I not spend enough time on this? Did I not do this? And I'm thinking about the next day. What do I have to do? My calendar in my phone has everything. Recovery, cryotherapy, workout, this, cardio, this, mealtime. So I'm like so meticulous with it. So what keeps me up at night? Fear that I've left a stone unturned.
Thanks, Jess. Go get some rest.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Talk soon.
All right. Take care.
Right. You too. Up next in the second hour is Brittany Parrish. She just got her pro card last year, and she'll be on the podcast next here at 8:30 p.m. So you want to check that out. Great show. Always glad to talk to the ladies of steel, the women of steel, a sisterhood, if you will. The podcast, again, is brought to you by Maximus Posing Suits. Celebrate your inner warrior, MaximusPosingSuits.com. And, of course, GPS Photography and Video. Why photography and video? Because a photo's worth 1,000 words, video's worth 1,000,000. We'll see you in a little bit.
Life's best moments are best captured by photography and video. You may ask, why photography and video? Because if a photo is worth 1,000 words, video is worth 1,000,000. And GPS photography and video will leave you speechless. GPS specializes in weddings, sports, fitness, and so much more. Book your next shoot today at 910-257-0526 or gpsphotoandvideo.com.